Hello. Good morning. Hello, everybody participating online. Good morning. We're starting a little bit behind schedule, but I hope we can catch up as soon as possible. My name is Adedumade Unibokun, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to the 8th edition of the Career Training for Lawyers. Our team is Entertainment and Sports Law Mastery, and I hope you can get the best of the training today. But before we do that, just let me tell you a little story of how all this started. I'm a lawyer, and I've been practicing for a couple of years now. But I wanted to attend trainings. I wanted to upskill myself. And the trainings were so expensive. You know, there were trainings of like 350K. And I was a young lawyer, and I was saying, how do I afford this? Especially when my law firm was not going to sponsor me. So what I decided to do was to make trainings available to myself and my colleagues at a more affordable rate without diminishing the quality of teaching that we all received. I started this like 2018, and funny enough, we are still here. All glory to God. Thank you. But I've done my part by making this training available. I would like you to also do me a small favor, which is to get as much as you can from these training sessions. It's going to be 2 days of us being here together, and we're going to be, shall I say, listening to some of the best people or best experts, or some of the most notable names in the entertainment and sports law industry. And I really appreciate it if you can tap as much as you can from them. I can see a number of people who have attended our trainings before. I want to say it's a pleasure to have you here again. And also to our participants online. Please, can we say hi to them, and can they say hi to us as well? So if you're online, can you please turn on your cameras? Can you please turn on your mics and just say hello so we know you're here? I can see a couple of our old-timers. Mr. Emmanuel, I can see you waving. Thank you for joining us. Wow, there's so many people. Henry, Mr. Annie, Susan. Please just turn on your cameras and wave. You can also turn off your mics and turn on your mics and just say something. Just say hi. I'm guessing someone is saying hi already, but we have not heard you. And our media team is trying to work on that. While we wait for them to join us, I just want to say, does anyone have any question before we start? Our first speaker is already around, and we're going to start right away. And also, another issue, if you drove a car, right, there's adequate parking for us in this compound or in the next compound. And there is no need for you to pay for parking because we have parking tickets for all our participants. So some people usually ask you to pay, but please don't pay them. Just get the parking tickets from us at the registration stand. Can we hear them now? Okay, but I want to be sure you can hear me. Can you hear me if you're online? Oh, thank you. We can hear you as well. Does someone want to say hi? Say hello. Just introduce yourself and say
hi. Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, where are you joining us from, ma?
I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
From Port Harcourt. Wow, it's nice to have you here. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does someone else want to say something?
Yes.
Yes, good morning. Where are you joining us from? Please, your name and where you're joining us from.
Good morning. My name is Olushola Joyroda, and I'm joining from Abuja.
Oh, you're welcome. So nice to have you. I know we have 3 lawyers from Ghana. Mr. Kufri, is that you?
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you introduce yourself and where you're joining us from?
I'm Kufri Kwere. I'm a legal practitioner based in Akwa Ibom State.
Okay, Mr. Kufre, nice to have you.
Hello. Thank you very much.
Yes, please go on.
Yeah,
Please go on. I said, go on, sir. You're about to say something. Just say your name and where you're joining us from. Okay, well, that's fine. In order not to waste too much time, because we've already gone a lot into today, I'm just glad to know that you guys are here and you are following us online. And if you have any issues, please just type it in the chat box so that we can respond to you as soon as possible. Now, our first training for today is going to be on music, law, and contracts. Does anybody here have experience in that area? Oh, you do? What kind of experience you want to share?
Okay, so I have represented an artist in his record label agreement, negotiated the agreement with the record label actually, got him a good deal. Let me just leave it at that. So I have that kind of experience.
You know, that reminds me of the recent story about Mohbad and all that. You know, may his soul rest in peace. Does anyone else want to share their experience as an entertainment lawyer?
Yeah, and there's a movie that the song of an artist based here in Lagos was to be used as soundtrack. I think I vetted the agreement. So I think that's a little I have done in music.
Okay, that is great. Someone from the back? All right, let me bring the mic to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adiola Oshifeko, and I have represented MultiChoice I have drafted agreements for MultiChoice regarding their licensing agreement for artists who wish to air their songs on their music channel. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Do you want to say something too, sir?
I am Awokoya, and I'm a student lawyer with Babcock University, but I've been an entertainer for almost 3 decades. I've run into trouble as an entertainer, sport and entertainment, as a producer, and that informs me to say, oh, I need to learn law. I need to know about the law. I need to know where and how to find the law myself. And that is why I'm here. And I'm back in school, 400 level, Babcock University.
Wow. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing. What about our online participants? Does anyone want to share their experience as a music lawyer? Oh, someone is raising their hands from Cyrus Law. Do you want to say something, Mr. James?
No, I wasn't raising my hand. I just wanted to say that I joined you from Ghana.
Yes.
I'm one of the joining from Ghana, yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us.
I've been in the media space for quite some time, but not involved much in music. It's now that I'm trying to get into music production as a side hustle. And then wanting to learn the entertainment law a bit of it to add to it.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing. Well, guys, I think the person we're going to be listening to this morning is really the best person to speak on this issue, because not only was he an artist, he was a member of a boy band in his Unilag days. You know, like Boys to Men, all those things, the ladies will swoon and he would sing on the stage, and he used to have 6-pack. I think the 6-pack is still there, Sha. So you knock off his shirt and woo, I know everybody in the hall will just scream. But imagine having that kind of background in the music industry, right, and melting it with his passion for law. Imagine what he has been able to achieve so far with that. Without further ado, guys, please allow me to welcome to the stage Mr. Akinyemi Ayinoluwa. A round of applause, please. You're welcome, boss.
Thank you, my brother. How are we feeling today? Good morning, guys. I see a lot of familiar faces. I'm blessed to have this opportunity to share what I know. It's always a pleasure and I have a presentation to guide me because I'm really, really passionate about this. And sometimes I can just go off tangent and tell a lot of stories. But a quick disclaimer, in 2 hours we can't really touch on everything. It's not possible to teach music contracts and agreements in 2 hours. I don't think it's possible, but the idea is to plant the seed that would be nurtured by you, and you are the sole decider of whether you take whatever I share and make the best use of it. As lawyers by training, we're supposed to find what the issues are, know what the rules are, apply them, and come to our own conclusion. And same thing with education. As a student of the University of Lagos, I had a vague idea that I wanted to pursue an interest in entertainment law. I discovered that, there was something like that in my third year at the university, and slowly, that shaped everything I did from the moment that I figured out that this was a possibility for me. And usually what I find is if I speak to many people, if I speak to 10 people, maybe out of 10 people, maybe I'll just find that one person or two people are able to still pursue it, maybe like 3-5 years later. Hopefully you'll be part of the many are called but few are chosen. So hopefully a few of you will be part of the chosen. Now, before I dive in, I also want to share that you need to get the Bible, which is a book by Donald Passman, All You Need to Know About the Music Business. Please, if you can write that down, if you could maybe place an order on Amazon and try to get it like within the next couple of weeks. That will be a testimony to your interest. If you really want to do this music business thing, if you want to be a lawyer that wants to really get a hang of what is going on in the music world, I think that is a good place to start. Oftentimes people refer to that as the Bible to guide, entertainers and lawyers and talent managers. So that's a good place to start. Also, if you really, really want to know more about this, you need to be a part of the community. You need to be a part of... Donald Passman is the writer, is a lawyer. Donald Passman, yeah. All you need to know about the music business, yes. Donald Passman. I think Pass and Man. Yeah. So that's a good place to start, and let's even see how many of us can get the book in 2 weeks. I recommend that book, and a lot of young lawyers and law students will keep pursuing me to help them get the book. In a world where you can access information so easily. Let me just help you again. There's a bookstore called Roving Heights. I'm not trying to do any ad, but I know that it can help you get the book on time. So I hope that makes it easier for you. So as I was saying, you have to be able to be a part of the community. And if you're part of the community, you would see the real life examples of the issues. Like I said earlier, by training, we're supposed to know what the problems are and try to find the answers to those problems. We're in the business of solving other people's problems. So you need to be a part of a community. And many people will tell me, especially those outside of Lagos, they'll be like, oh, but there are no entertainers in Port Harcourt. No, maybe not Port Harcourt. There are no entertainers in my state. How do I become a member of the community? And I tell them, look for the nearest place where you can find a community. If you're in the South, I think you can go to Port Harcourt. It's a very lively place, a lot of talents there, where you can also fellowship with them, feel their pulse, go to their music studios, if this is something you really want. Because before you can understand the application of the law, you should have an idea of what the business is. And again, what I've also seen in my almost 14 years of trying to do what I'm doing is that some lawyers that don't understand the business want to profile solutions that they can't even... If you can't identify what the issues are, how can you provide solutions? How can you advise on transactions if you don't know the value chain of, okay, this is the raw form, this is the music, how does the music generate revenue? So if you want to go into the food business maybe you want to sell plantain chips. You should have an idea of how the plantain is sourced, how it is processed, how it is distributed across all the different retail channels, and then how it gets to the customers. Same way, if you really want to be a music lawyer that is able to add value to your clients, you must be able to tell how can you move from maybe being a talent to becoming a global superstar like Burna Boy. Are we together? All right. So it is very, very important. And as a young lawyer, one of the things that conferred me an advantage over some of my peers then was that I did everything I could to, align with, the community. I was always at the conferences. I was always at the open mic nights. I was always, just where they hang out, I have to be there. And I had a lot of time to do that. And that's a cheat code. Because only those who affiliate with them, you only give business to the people you trust. If you are far removed from the community, nobody would reckon that you can be of assistance. Are we good? So hopefully, some of you would start to take steps, maybe on your weekends. I know some of the older guys, you people do not like to fraternize with the young guys, but the culture, the music is defined by the very young guys, like maybe from 16 years old to 25. If you're in your 30s and your 40s and you like to act like a big man, you can't, socialize with people that are not yet at your level. This might not be the space for you to operate. And I think the same thing happens in sports. You have to be able to have, you have to be charismatic and charming, and be able to just invite people into your world, also be a part of other people's worlds. And I'm just teaching you some of the things they don't teach us in school. If you really want to make it as a lawyer, you can't. If you want to make it in music, in sports, even in politics, anywhere, aside what you know, the people you know, and your connection to many other people, that's the reason why you have big clients. Or that can be what would account for some clients. Now, I think I'm done with a very important part. Now, let's do the academics of this. Music is the strongest form of magic, without a doubt. Can we do without music for a day? Let's start from the beginning, please. Can we do without music? You're bored, you're in traffic, Lagos is showing you a lot of shege. How do you step it down? You go for your O1 bay. If there's no music, please, from the very, very first page. Yes, so music is an intricate part of how we live. It's one of the cultural commodities that would always be around, and at every point in time, the creators of music, all the players in that space would always need experts like you and me to advise them, to guide them through transactions. And of course, I don't need to, share what contract or agreement, an exchange of promise. I think in law school we're taught, in our undergrad years at the university we're taught contract law, all the elements of contract. So it's an exchange of, promises. You will do this, I will do this, and then there's a consideration, and then it has to be legal and the likes. Next slide, please. So, and in understanding contracts, in understanding the nature of contracts, it helps you every step of the way, because the business is built on people doing things for things. An artist is going to be in front stage, connecting with maybe 300 people or 2,000 people or 10,000 people, and he's going to have his own expectation that if I'm able to wow the crowd, if I'm able to get people to come see me, if I'm able to promote this show, this is what I get at the end of a day. All the different types of transactions, somebody has to get something for doing something. So that is kind of very, very elementary. But again, there are more than 60, 70 variations of contracts, of music contracts, different types of music contracts. But what we'll be examining today would be like the major ones that you can't do without. So let me paint a picture before we dive in of the journey of an artist. Usually an artist is going to say, okay, I'm talented, I'm maybe in the choir, I practice every Wednesdays, Saturdays, and I perform or I minister every Sunday. And then it could start as young as the age of, how many people are musicians here? Singers in the house? We have singers, right? Rappers? Yeah, so it pays, to really, like these people, they already have an advantage. Because if you have that background in music, you can easily speak the language and you can connect with people. So let me please chip in this so I don't forget. There is something that can also give you an advantage, which is talent management. The biggest music executives in America and the UK that are lawyers usually transition into talent management. And talent management is a big money spinner because we have the benefit of the doubt of being smart. If you announce yourself as a lawyer in the room, everybody wants to listen to you. Hopefully, you don't prove them wrong because people assume that lawyers are smart. So this can be a very big cheat code. I was a talent manager for like 2 years, and all the connections I made trying to push the talent I was representing, those were the people that I was able to convert them to being my first set of clients. So that can be an aspect to leapfrog. If you think you are maybe 10 years into practice as a lawyer or 5 years into practice and you want to learn rapidly, I think you should try and take on like a talent and try to push that talent as a talent manager, and you'll be shocked. So yes, usually the journey of a talent, you develop that talent, maybe every Sunday, you overcome the stage fright, you're no longer fidgeting, you're getting better with your vocals, getting better with your performance, and then maybe you start to get a lot of recognition in your local community, and your church is starting to see you as a very promising talent. So maybe you are now like 15, 16, and you're still in school, secondary school, maybe then you go to uni like 18, 19, 20. Depending on what level of shege. If you go into private university, that's a different conversation. So when you get to university, you are going to be growing into self-awareness as an artist. And if you are really, really spectacular, and if you are able to make your own relationships, slowly you start to attract interest from people who feel that they can gamble on you. They can, spend money on you. Maybe you could be the reason why they can become investors in music. Maybe they see you as their own Tupac and they can be your Suge Knight. Or they see you as Biggie and they can be your own what? Nobody knows music business here. Who's your guy of PDD? Who's the, You know what's up? Please, are we lively enough here? Send me the Bible. You want to be entertainment lawyers, you have to... Can we relax a bit? We are too serious. Are we too serious? Or am I just boring? Which one? Be honest with me. Old school. I should give you present day examples. Okay, who wants to be the Maven? Who's the Maven boss? That's easy, Abi. Okay, so who's Ashake's boss? I think I should give a more recent example. So that means most of us are Gen Zs here.
Recent examples are applicable, but not for us.
Oh, recent examples.
They are more applicable for them, but not for me.
So, sir, you don't know the boss of Maven Records?
Of course.
You know. I didn't hear that word. So, yes, I knew Ira Star online when she was making a lot of covers like 3 years ago, about that period. And then she caught the eye of the Maven boss, and that initiated a conversation that led to her getting signed, and now she's a superstar. Please, can someone tell me how Ira Star makes her money? Can somebody give me an example? Number one? Number two? Endorsements, streaming, concerts, salary. Who says salary? licensing fees. So I'm speaking to very smart people. Let's keep this engagement running. Somebody wanted to say something. Okay. The people online, I'm sorry, but I'm feeding off the energy of the guys in the room. So I'm sorry that it might be difficult. But when we get to the question and answers, we'll be able to take everyone. So Ira Star is now a global superstar, and she's making money from many, many streams of income. So we're talking live performances, which is usually, that's when you know that you've struck gold, when everybody's screaming, when people are fainting left, right, and center. How many people have witnessed people fainting before? Nobody. The first time I saw Two-Face as an undergrad student, I almost fainted. That was my idol. As a young star, I modeled my singing career after Two-Face. I wanted to be like him so bad. But as God would have it, I did not blow. So when we get to heaven, we might touch on that. Say, Baba God, why? So all the streams of income, we have to understand them. Live performances, that's the first point to know that, this guy has arrived. When you are so in demand, everybody's fighting to, have you on their dates, on their events. Also, another thing is radio. When radio starts showing love, you know that, yes, you're almost there. Then when your streaming numbers are starting to go high, that's an indicator that you are almost there, or you are there already. Also, the one that tells people you are now a star is what? When we see you on billboards, when we see you in commercials, maybe endorsing a beverage or a betting game company, or endorsing sportswear, some things of that nature, endorsements of that nature, that seals it for people that you're now an influencer on a larger scale. You can influence the sales of commercial products. So as soon as lawyers, if we're able to understand the dynamics of all of that, and we can speak the language, then it's going to be easy to apply the law, because you can't apply, you can't even understand the language of this contract if you don't already know why certain things are important, why certain things run the way they do. Are we together? All right, so let's go to so what we'll be doing, I'm not defining contracts, but for the sake of those who want their memory refreshed, who wants to quickly help us to define it? Online, should somebody define it? Online, can someone define contract? Because there's no difference between music contract and contract. It's just that contracts that are specific to the music industry are music contracts, and they are unique in a way. But contracts, any definition? Online, I mean. Can we get?
Good morning.
All right, please be quick. Yeah.
So I'm not defining, I'm just explaining. The contract is a document between two or more parties, basically setting out the terms they wish to be bound by with respect to a transaction. So it could be any kind of transaction. So in this case, the music contract, setting out the terms that they wish to be bound by.
Okay, thank you so much. Anybody in the house, why do we need contracts? Can you give me 3 reasons? Can we quickly know what the 3 reasons are? Why do we need contracts in place? Anybody insight here? Sharp.
I believe that contracts are the very foundation of transactions. Without a contract, anything can go in any way. It sets out the clear understanding of the obligations of the parties, and it is also what you can fall back on for protection if the other person defaults. It is proof of the agreement of the transaction that you had. It's the backbone, it's the foundation.
Thank you so much. Just stay.
It is so big, and it is being played in venues locally, internationally. It is being used on TV, radio. It gives rise to another type of contract. How many of us understand that bit? How many of you understand that every time music is being used in public spaces, it is generating income? It should. It's not every time. It should. there are some territories where
Nigeria is too late now. Nigeria is a good territory. If it's abroad, yes, you have to pay to place the
government officers.
Yeah. No, we say the truth.
You want to say the truth?
Yes, sir.
I like that. Yeah, so ordinarily, when music is being consumed, somebody should be getting paid. When it is being played, somebody should be getting paid. So by licensing agreements, people are able to get what is due to them for the consumption of the music. Are we together? Now, when the artist is having a spike or having a moment, and from ground 10, now they are, or maybe over 100, there's an upcoming artist here like 0, 10, or 20. But when you make a splash, you have a very big song, like Finesse, or what song is the biggest song from Nigeria? Let me know, let me check you people. Do you people know the songs that are the biggest song of last year?
Are you Gen Z? You're not.
I'm not Gen Z, but
she knows what's up. Yeah, but that's not the biggest song. By a lot of mile, the biggest song from Afrobeats now from Nigeria is what? Calm Down by Wemimo. So when you have that kind of song, your life has changed forever. We're not here to argue. Facts, don't argue. Yeah. So if you shake your head from now till because I saw you do like this, it's not about the quality of the song, it's about the connection. How many people can you connect with the music? So back to it. When you have a big song like that, your life is changed forever. Even if you don't get another big song like that, at least that song can help you for the next 5 years, because it will be licensed over and over again. The song will take you all over the world. Like, there are people that have big songs from from year 2000, people like Ja Rule, 50 Cent, and they're still doing world tours 23 years after. That's to tell you how powerful having big songs can be. And in fact, when people die, how many songs do they state in their obituary news? Or in their obsequies? Did I say it correctly? So, as a musician, when you go, they'll probably quote 3 to 5 songs for you. Is fondly remembered for hits like You Rock My World, Michael Jackson, Thriller. So they don't really remember you for a lot of works. They remember you for the most compelling, remarkable, iconic work you're able to produce during your lifetime. Sorry, I've drifted away. So when you now have that kind of song, everybody's going to be gunning for you. Promoters, they want to have, something to do with you. They want to put you on. Then what kind of agreement do you need to have now? What kind of agreement? Anybody wants to help or guess or suggest? So you go into agreements with these promoters. They are calling you from Australia to the UK, to the Netherlands, to Switzerland, and everybody wants to book you. So they will send you a live performance contract, right? And then when the dragging of shirts is becoming too much, because it's a good problem to have, everyone is rushing you like Indomie, and you now have to get a special relationship to cater to that. You need to get a booking agent, and in getting a booking agent, you have to go into an agreement with the booking agent. So you can see all the many, many, many types of music contracts that I'm listing, which is following the journey of the artist. Not just that. Now, with a big song, you need to maintain your visibility and, try to tell your own story and have a publicist. You go into another agreement with a publicist. Now you have to dress properly. You need to look like a star. How many of you think these people are the ones putting all those clothing together? The Michael Jacksons of this world, they have people handling their wardrobe. The Elton Johns, the Elvis Presleys of this world. The real rock stars have style consult. Hey, my Yorubaness just escaped. You guys should forgive me. So most of them have stylists or style consultants, almost again, that help them. And you have to go into an agreement for that. And who is helping to advise and vet all these agreements? Someone like you. So you know that this is something that people can't do these things at that level without having people like you and myself to guide them, to help them make better decisions. Next slide, please. So we'll look at the relevant clauses and hopefully we're able to understand it deeper. So music contracts are legally binding agreements that contains terms and obligations and other aspects of the music business. I've already kind of like highlighted everything. Touring is something that is very, very important. When you now have a fan base and everyone is connecting to your music, you start to move from state to state, and you will need contracts to, spell out your engagement with the people that are working. There are companies that set up tours. How many of us are aware? There are companies that set up tours. They say, oh, I'll take you to 25 cities. I have local partners. We've done it for 10 years. We've done it for 15 years. And as a music lawyer, you're supposed to have an understanding. You're supposed to be able to identify the real guys that can execute. You are supposed to be able to. So this thing is just beyond law sometimes. You have to know the players as well. The players are an intricate part of the business. As a music lawyer, how many of you, okay, as lawyers, you must have heard of AI. AI is coming for all of us job, have you? Have you embraced the reality?
It can't.
It can't, right?
Yes.
It will.
It will, definitely. Well,
that's the future. People will be able to. Yeah, it will take a while because we are still lucky. The technology might not get here in the way it will, because trust me, very soon people will be able to fill a form, maybe on a platform, on a solution. They're already doing it. Fill in the details. You prepare a tenancy agreement. You'll be able to prepare a music publishing agreement, and you'll be able to understand it. And the machine is going to be able to summarize it. So what would be the deciding factor of whether you still have a job will be what? People have to do beyond just being paper pushers. You have to be on the streets. Not as a charge and bill. But as what? As deal makers, as solution providers. You have to be able to walk into certain rooms. You have to be able to know the who is who and build your own relationships. I'm not the smartest lawyer in this room, but I want to out-network everybody in this room, and I want to have more relationships than everybody in this room. That is what would keep food on my table. If I do not have relationships, if I don't have roots in the community, then I'm as fresh as any young lawyer from law school, despite all the things I know. Are we in agreement? Yeah. So I'm just saying this. Same thing with merchandise. Merchandising is just using the identity of the talent to sell products. If we want to sell phones, this phone can be bare like this, but if we put a Cristiano Ronaldo picture, automatically the value of this phone jumps up. And why is that? Because Cristiano Ronaldo. So let me use Messi. Messi, I'm a Messi fan. So when we put Lionel Messi here, the value. How many of us are following what's going on with Messi and the league in the US? How one man can just appear on the scene and just make a whole league valuable. So that tells you the importance of merchandise. If we're able to represent superstars and people want to use the likeness of our clients to sell products, we should be able to understand it. Are we good? Yes. So licensing is about getting permission. Next slide, please. Licensing, the music business is a permission business. We have to always authorize people to, Okay, you can use my music for this. Okay, you can use my likeness for this. The reason why I will go to any concert is what? Is if I am sure that the guys, the superstars that are being advertised will be at the event. Are we learning?
Yes.
The reason why people would leave their house and maybe travel as far as 2 states away with their friends or with their family members is because they think, it's because they have guarantees that Beyonce is coming, or Jay-Z is coming, or Drake is coming, or Burna Boy is coming. And they want to see that their favorite superstar has given them that guarantee as well. They already believe it, but they want to see certain things. And before a promoter can go to town, they must get permission. If you want to use a Burna Boy song in your adverts, you must get permission. If you want to use Burna Boy's likeness, his image, you must get permission. If you want Burna Boy to speak into the camera and try to bring people out to your event as a show promoter, obviously, for him to do that, if it's not under duress, then it is assumed that his permission has been granted already. Are we together? Yeah. So the major types of contract are usually all those aspects of business that I've already listed, which is, number one, getting signed as an artist. That's a recording agreement. The recording agreement, the publishing agreement, the talent management contract, the live performance contract, and the licensing contract. These are really, really the most important contracts because they kind of like affect everything else. A recording contract for me is the most, okay, I think it is between the recording contract and the talent management contract, because usually not everybody would have the privilege of just going straight to a record label. Usually you would probably start with a talent manager. Does anybody understand the functions of a talent manager? Huh?
You mentioned it.
Yeah, can you help me? Sir. And by the way, is one of the finest lawyers in medical law practice. Please, a round of applause. He's my guy. He's my guy. Oh yeah. Talent management agreement. Oh no, what's the function of a talent manager?
The talent manager sees to the ensuring the success of the talent, reviews agreements for the talent, then the goal of talent manager is to see that the talent succeeds or achieves their goal or their dreams.
Thank you so much. Essentially, he said it. A talent manager's responsibility is to make sure that this talent, this product, sells. By hook or crook, if we need to break down doors, if we need to crush people's bones, if we need to put this guy on a stage, put him on radio, put him anywhere, it is my responsibility. It's just like you are now the brand manager of what product? Maybe Coca-Cola or Pepsi. As soon as you get that responsibility, it is your job that when the investors or the company or the management gives you the resources you need, it is your job to take the product to greater heights. If the product is selling 20,000 units per day, how can you make it better? So same thing. Musicians are multi-dimensional. Many of them can do many things at the same time. The very successful ones can be exploited in a commercial sense across different channels. There are musicians that have as much as 10, 20 endorsements or commercial relationships with companies running concurrently across diverse industries. So it is your job. But again, it is usually a thankless job. Your talent manager is supposed to grab you by the hand and say, okay, whether you like it or not, I'm taking you to the next level. And they'll take you maybe from when you win Idols, or you win Project Fame, or you win any competition, or maybe you are already a superstar in your neighborhood, and it is the job of the talent manager to schedule, to build a routine around you, to start to connect you with opportunities, and ultimately find investors or find a record label that can take you to the next step. So I think that's the most important contract to have. And at that point of even having that relationship, they'll need lawyers like myself and you to advise. So a talent management agreement, a recording agreement, a publishing agreement, live performance, and licensing contract. We'll still dive in and touch on some clauses. But how many of you have heard of music publishing before? Okay? Can you briefly explain what you understand by that? Can we get somebody online? Okay, you go first, on site. The bearded gentleman.
Music publishing is like exploiting the composition in the sound recording of the song. So, for instance, a song like Calm Down embodies a composition in the sound recording. So, while royalties are being earned on the sound recording, royalties are also being earned on the composition in the sound recording. So that's publishing. That's where publishing comes in.
Thank you so much. Do we understand that? Okay, let me break it down. Can we sing a song together? Yeah? Let's just have fun, yeah? What song should we sing? Baby, calm down. So, what are we doing? We're performing. We're singing a song. The song has melodies, it has lyrics and melodies. And it was written by somebody. Who wrote it? Rema, right? So we just quickly did a performance now. If somebody recorded it, what has the person created? If somebody records our performance of that song, we did intellectual property now. In year 3, Abby. So if you press record, have you not created a sound recording? And then we can all blow, we can hammer, and we sell it. So we've created a sound recording of a composition by just simply pressing record of a performance. Do we understand that? Do we understand that? So already there's this big song all over the world by Rema that featured, what was her name? Selena Gomez, and it's a chart-topping song, and it's already selling millions of copies. But now we are creating our own version because like some of us sang and somebody pressed record and then we just upload it on YouTube. And you'll be shocked because some of us we have anointed voices. Things started chatting. We've created a sound recording. And that sound recording is starting to make money. But in some way, what is the foundation of what we created? Somebody else's composition, right? So anytime we are making money with this new thing we created, the original composer is also going to be making money, right? So that's what music publishing is. It means all the songs that are written, every time they are being exploited, royalties are being generated. And why do people need songwriters? Any sharp answer to that? Why do we need songwriters?
Not everyone has the talent.
Fantastic, simple and short. And also, some of these recording artists are too busy to even calm down to record or to write or to be creative. As you get busier with your biza, you might not be able to calm down to create your best work. So you need refreshment. You need new creative juice from people that are super talented to write new compositions and to help, enrich your music. So, music publishing companies will sign songwriters with the sole intention of developing the songwriters so that they can help develop their music catalog. Are we together? Yes. And that's the same thing, exactly the same thing for record labels. While music publishing companies invest in songwriters with the intention of developing the songwriters and building the catalog, record labels invest in what? Artists. Recording artists with the intention of building their own music catalogs as well. Of what? Sound recording. So somebody wants more compositions, somebody wants more sound recordings. And the two parts of these things have to come together at all times. A record can't exist without a composition. Understood? So do we have a vague idea of what music publishing is now? So what will differentiate whether you know this or not is if you pick an interest in that and you do more research. You have to do more research. Yes, I'm going to help you understand it a bit, but to dive in deeper, it's a lot more complex than I've made it look. Understood? Yeah, so these are the very, very important types of contract. Next slide, please. Please, you can keep your questions so that you can ask me anything you need me to shed more light on. Hopefully, I don't flunk it. I'll try my best. Because God forbids that one man knows it all. Eh? Do we agree? Yes. Nobody can know it all, even in this music law. We're all learners. So next stage, please. Yeah, recording contract. These are agreements signed between an artist and a record label, which covers recording and distribution of music. The artist is obliged to deliver a certain number of albums or songs within a specific time frame. So that is just I think I've already talked on that. So it's time bound. You are obliged. There's an obligation to deliver a number of projects. Also, somebody has to finance the production or the coming together or the productizing of the music. Somebody has to be able to put you in the studio if you're an artist and fund it and make sure they can the best value for the money spent, for the investment made. Somebody has to be able to brand you properly as a product. So that, that is essentially what a recording contract entails. But we'll still touch on the very, very important terms that we should all be conversant with. Next slide, please. So the terms contained. You have to have your eyes on, okay, if my client comes up with music, what is the fate of the music when it is being exploited? So what is the royalties like? How are we splitting it? Who is getting what? What share of the monies generated is coming to my client? That is a question you have to be able to answer. Are we in agreement to that point? Also, there's a term called advances. Does anybody understand what an advance means? Okay, please help us. The mic, please.
An advance, otherwise called a premium, is the amount of money that the record label pays to the artist on signing. The record label they will get their money back later through sales of the artist's song, but immediately after signing, they give an advance payment before the artist has actually made any sales of his music. So an advance or a premium.
Do we understand that? Yes. So yes. So I'm the record label, and you have a big song, and I'm enticed. I think you're promising. Please, can I get water, please? I think you are so promising. I want to invest maybe $300,000 over a period of 4 years. And now, at the point of signing, thank you so much. At the point of signing, I'm giving you like straight up, immediately you put pen to paper, I'm giving you as the artist 50,000 naira, $50,000, so that you don't have to wait till maybe 6 months later or 12 months later. You don't have to wait, so that you don't even have money issues again, so that you've already taken care of your family. Maybe you have 2 baby mothers or 2 baby mamas, they're not going to disturb you again. Or your grandma is staying with you. You know, I'm just using real life examples. Musicians are very interesting people. They keep planting seeds. Seeds that can cause wahala. Don't worry, you two, you'll be psychologists very soon. You'll be advising them, what can't you do without this thing? As a lawyer, you're going to be a shrink as well. They will call you midnight, man, I can't sleep. My baby mama is threatening me with police. So you as a lawyer, you have to step in many times to manage their personal affairs. So yes, the advance, instead of waiting till 6 months or 12 months or 18 months before you start seeing the benefits of your work, the label is going to want you comfortable, certain things taken care of, and then they'll just give you that money. Do we understand it now? Yeah. Just like you have a building and somebody wants to have that building for like maybe 10 years. And they just give you, instead of paying on a yearly basis, just collect 10 years rent and probably invest it in somewhere else. It makes your life easy to get the advance. So also, a very important clause. So you want to be sure that your artist is not entering a trap as well. Because if the advance is so much and the artist has to spend a lot of time trying to recoup, that means the artist can be in limbo. Sometimes they give you the advance as an handcuff, and you just like this because the check is enticing, like you just willingly accept the handcuff, and you might be stuck. So, as a lawyer who understands the business, you'll be able to advise your client properly. Exclusivity is also another very important clause. I'll do my best to send templates of all these contracts to Ade Dumade, and hopefully you guys can study it and use it. But you must learn the business, or else you put your clients in trouble. You have to understand the business, because no 2 transactions are the same. Please, don't be selfish. Some of you are not going to listen to me. Don't be selfish. You have to understand the business to be able to advise your clients. I'm begging you. If you need to partner with a lawyer that knows better than you do and come to some kind of arrangement to help your clients, please, even senior advocates, they are doing 10 people on a case, 15 people on a case. So how much more? Don't put the career in jeopardy, the career of an upcoming artist in jeopardy because you just wanted to keep the whole legal fees to yourself. So exclusivity is something very interesting that you have to understand. What does exclusivity mean? It means we've signed you, you can't deal with anybody else, you're dealing with us for a definite period. And usually, if you want to operate at the very peak, some of these contracts are going to be in that nature. But again, if you already have leverage, which means if you're already doing well by yourself before the label comes, sometimes you might be able to negotiate the contract in a manner that there is no exclusivity, which means you choose to decide, okay, I could record for you, you take care of my releases, maybe from so time to this time in this territory, and then I can do the same type of deal with somebody else in another territory. How many of us understand that? So I'm not exclusive to anybody. But many people have relationships where they are exclusive to the record label. Many artists do. So also something that causes problems globally, not just in Nigeria, is what? The transparency that comes with how the money flows. Many Nigerian labels do not give accurate royalty statements. They don't, even when they do, it is not timely. Usually, I've seen cases where all through the 3 years or the 5 years, not once was any payment made in royalties, not once was any report given in any quarter. So, that is something that, as lawyers, we must always be mindful of. So, you also want, to be able to call for auditing and accounting. Like, okay, let's see what the books is saying. How has my client dealt in the first year? What is the naira and kobo of coming together? And you should be able to get an independent advisor to champion the cause of your client, to be able to call for, the books and audit the label. And anytime your client is being signed, especially when an advance has been given, you want to be able to follow the P&L or the flow of how much has been invested, how much has been generated. Sometimes you would see an artist so famous, so popular, and you would assume that they are already in the green, but they are still in the red. And then...
So does P&L?
Profit and loss.
Okay.
Yeah. So everybody has a budget. The label would usually have a budget that they have to spend to make you commercially viable. It's just like you are digging for petrol. You are digging. You might not hit commercial quantity. How much is commercial quantity? 200,000 barrels or... I've forgotten. 600,000. 1,000 barrels. Okay. I think I've forgotten, but I might be wrong. So that is a very important clause to understand. Also, termination. I've seen many contracts with no termination clause. That means you are going to be married for life. No divorce. No, you can't divorce this person. You are yoked for life. So it is offensive that some lawyers still allow people to sign things, no termination, you can't, no escape route. The handcuff is there like a bracelet just for life. But of course, when you get a good lawyer, you can also challenge that. But it is good to just avoid it entirely. Make sure there's a termination clause. Make sure that you prepare for the worst at all times. Anytime your client is going into any relationship with a record company or a music publishing company, today everybody's happy, smiling, but immediately the ink is dry. In 6 months, in 12 months, people show who they really are. And if you do not envisage the worst, if you're not prepared for the worst, it can be a very, very fatal error on your part. I hope you understand that. You have to prepare. Yes, I'm coming to this negotiation table with love, with good faith. I want to prosper with you. But again, be ready for when they become real enemies, because I've seen it. In a twinkling of an eye, you can, maybe the wife of the record label doesn't just like your artist again. He doesn't greet me. That's the start. That's the beginning of the end. So you must, like, for example, myself, I always try to put in the contract that if the label doesn't release music, if they don't release any project or singles or records for a straight period of 8 months, then we should be able to trigger a termination. I've seen cases where people just get signed and they don't release any record. An artist that is not able to share his art with the world, how are you going to grow? How are you going to make money? How are you going to be able to build a career for yourself? How can you build prosperity when there is no consistency in sharing your music? So please, we need to understand that. Also, promotions. I've already touched on that before. there has to be some provision for marketing. Any record contract that I see that there isn't any promise expressly stated, or I don't see any marketing budget, I'll just be like, this can't fly. But again, people who don't have leverage can't really dictate what they want in terms of, next slide please. So let's go to the other agreements. Next slide, sharp. Yeah, so for the publishing agreement, this is a songwriter-publisher agreement which may involve assigning full or partial ownership of copyright in a composition to a publisher in exchange for helping to build the artist's catalog. So music publishers are people, yeah? They sign you for their own interests. And of course, you'd also benefit. But they're signing you so that you're able to help build catalog that they can own fully, or that you can co-own, or that you can license. How many of us understand what I've said? I'm going to sign you so that we can co-own the copyright in the composition, or so that I can own it, or so that you can own it and I can license it. Those are three different scenarios. We're still going to touch on that. So essentially, this is what a publishing agreement, describes, which is I sign you so that we can deal with the asset you create, and then so that we can also monetize the catalog. We need to build this catalog. This is what makes us valuable. The reason why the likes of Sony Music, Universal Music, and Warner Music, why they are the biggest music companies in the world, is because they own and control millions of intellectual property assets. So if you go to Silicon Valley, I read somewhere that that's the wealthiest place in the world. Why is that? Because all these tech companies own millions of patents, millions of solutions that they monetize, that generate billions and billions of dollars on a daily, monthly, weekly, yearly basis. So, same thing. What is a music publishing company without a catalog? So what is there to exploit? What is a record label without a catalog? What is there to exploit? Next slide, please. So the different types of, agreements. Number one, give me the composition. The composition is like a house in Lekki, and I will be the one to manage it. That means I'm the one administering the catalog. So you give me your catalog, and all I do is administer the catalog. Do you understand that? So if you give me a house in Lekki, and all I do is manage it, who owns it? Huh? You still the owner. And all my interest is limited to what? The management fees. So maybe I'm managing a skyscraper in VI, 21 floors. I don't own it. I'm just the real estate company that makes sure that the assets remains well taken care of and remains a going concern. So I manage it, and I also ensure that it is making money. I make sure that the health of what I created, of what is in my care, it's in perfect shape, it's in perfect condition. Do we understand that? So, and I want you to think of music, of compositions, of records as property. Just look at them as real estate. And this is a trick I usually teach. Think of your records. Maybe Camden now. Camden is like a property in central London, in the choicest part of London. And it is generating rents in millions on a yearly basis. Sometimes your song might not fall in a choice location like that. It might fall in maybe Ikoyi, Banana Island. Now, you can't compare. the rent that will be generated, a property of same, maybe 21 floors in central London and in Ikoyi, they have different royalties that are being generated. Do you understand that? So think of music at all times. Who is occupying my music? Who they occupy my, parents. So that's how I explain it to them. So they get annoyed when when I tell them that, see, your record has not been cleared. But trust me, somebody is making money. Because you build us for Lekki, you don't even know who the tenant. When they hear that, and then it makes them take the extra step to guard their music jealously. So that anybody occupying their 2-bedroom flats must pay rent. So you need to be able to also relate with these people, in a manner that is so simple. No big English, speak elementary. They are the smartest people in the world, though. And they are very creative. But, in your interaction with them, you have to speak their language. So that is music publishing in the sense. And the agreements are structured in a way that ownership resides with the owner of the works. But the publisher just, acts like an estate manager and makes sure everything is properly taken care of. Now, let's go to co-publishing agreements. With co-publishing agreements, the ownership is shared. So in a composition, now this is a bit complex, and I don't want to dissuade anybody from understanding it better. But a song, when it comes to the exploitation, usually has 2 parts. The songwriter part and the publisher part. Do you understand that? So every song has the songwriter part when it comes to exploitation and the music publisher part. Now, the 50% ownership in the songwriting part usually goes to the songwriter fully. Now, the other 50%, which is the publishing part, is usually split based on the agreement entered into between the songwriter and the publisher. So, for example, this co-publishing agreement means that the publishing interest in that song, which means the 50%, remember I said, usually when it comes to exploitation, a composition has 2 parts. 50% to the songwriter that the publisher is not touching at all. And then 50% to the publisher. Now, when it comes to co-publishing agreements, that 50% that usually goes to the publisher is now split into 2. And then, depending on the agreement, the split could be structured maybe 60-40, 50-50, whatever. But the ownership in that 50% publishing part is now co-owned. So the songwriter is not just a songwriter, is now also a publisher and is co-publishing. Is it complex? It's not. Thank you. Usually people don't get it. So that 50%, the 2 of us own it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I should take it again. Now, okay. So every song, every composition, a song and a composition, they are the same thing. A composition, usually when it comes to the exploitation, is split in 2 halves. Number 1, the songwriter share. Number 2, the publisher share. Now, when it comes to co-publishing means co-ownership of publishing interest. This 50% is already to the songwriter. The publisher can't even look at that. But the 50% that is split is now equally split evenly sometimes in terms of ownership and in terms of the royalties. So the songwriter participates in the publishing share. So they will usually now have 25% here. They will leave 25 for the publisher, and they will now still keep their 50%. Now altogether they have how many percent? We are too smart in this room. A round of applause, please. And I'm not joking. A lot of people don't get it when I explain. A lot of lawyers don't get it at first. I just have to keep doing it. So I think I'm getting better in teaching that part as well. So when you see an agreement of that nature, you'll be able to understand that, okay, the ownership is usually split in a co-publishing situation. And the reason why some people do this is because the publishing company is invested in helping, please, one house, is helping to develop the songwriter. And not just that, some publishing companies have gained notoriety or a good reputation for being able to build the songwriters in their roster. Like maybe they've done it for 30 years. They already have a system in place where they know how to plug a songwriter. From year one, you're already in the studio with Drake, with 50 Cent, with Snoop Dogg, with Burna Boy or Whiskey. And slowly, they build you into a powerhouse. And now for all that investment, they want to participate in the ownership. Do we understand that? Yeah. Now, this buyout agreement is just the opposite, like the opposite of, the publishing agreements. Sometimes people just want to totally sell off their interest in the publishing they own. And I'm sure some of us must have heard about all the different types of publishing transactions that were done during the lockdown. Did anybody notice that? Online? You heard about it. Some people during the lockdown, they were selling their assets. They were selling their publishing interest, and I think somebody wants to say something. If anybody wants to comment on this point online, let me know. So during the lockdown, I think Calvin Harris sold some of his publishing. Justin Bieber sold his publishing interest. They are like, okay, give me a lump sum, just like in the sense of an advance. Instead of me waiting till I'm 60 or 70 to collect the money in small bits. Okay, give me $200 million and I would give you my, publishing interest in my catalog. Do you understand it? So it's a very, very technical type of publishing. I've not done any on that scale, but that's a type of music publishing contract. Also, I would also like to talk about the full publishing agreement. Next slide, please. A full publishing agreement, instead of the songwriter participating in the 50-50 of the publisher, the songwriter does not participate. Do we understand that? Remember, I said usually it is 50-50 for the exploitation of the composition. Now, instead of the songwriter living where he is to participate in the publishing share, he does not participate in the publishing share. So it means the publisher keeps his own half and the songwriter keeps his own half. Do we understand that? All right. So remember, I'm still going to share the template with you, and you have to do your own reading, do your own research. The more you understand the business, the more you'll be able to understand each clause, because I can't teach this thing in less than 2 hours. I'm just planting seeds. Hopefully you nurture the seeds and it grows into something that is rewarding for you. So management contract, it's a contract between an artist and the artist management. The terms include description of the relationship, the duration, and the composition. The relationship between an artist and the manager can make challenges to navigate, so it is best to know what you are getting into and what you are getting out of the relationship. This is the most thankless job in the business. You know why? Have you heard of the proverbial coconut head? Everybody in the town, they always break the coconut on somebody's head, but the person never gets to have a slice. That's the job of a talent manager. And it's not just in Nigeria. Usually, they are the first people to believe, to invest, to put their time, their sweat, tears, and blood to take the artist to the next level. But most of the time, they are always the ones who get the short end of the stick. Once they make the superstars develop wings. They start hanging out with the high and mighty in the society. Immediately, you manage a talent to the level of prominence. Then the industry comes for the talents. Everybody's bringing their shovel, their fork and knife. They want to have a meal. And they want to delete the talent manager fast. That's something that is always happening, not just in Nigeria. So it's a very, very, very difficult terrain to navigate. Next slide, please. So with this understanding, if you're representing a talent manager, or if you're representing an artist, you want to try to do your best to make sure, next slide, please, to make sure that the contract is structured in a way that no party is treated unfairly. And there's a clause that I want you to understand. Please write it down. There's a clause called the post-term commission clause. Who has an idea what that means?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
It's usually a clause that allows for parties, especially the manager, to gain a commission, usually calculated around 30%.
Do you want to give him the mic so that people at home can hear?
Introduces over the period.
Please use the mic. I love what you're saying.
Okay. It's usually a period after the termination of the agreement, wherein the investment of the manager comes to bear. So the manager gets a certain percentage, usually between 20 to 30%. It might be reduced over the period of the time. Most times, usually about 3 years or less.
Fantastic.
And over that period, the manager gets a percentage of the profit. So it might be spread like 20, 15, 10 for the 3 years. But that's what the post-term is about.
Amazing, man. That's like the perfect answer to any question I've asked you. Please, a round of applause for the gentleman. So instead of them just breaking the coconuts, the proverbial coconut on the head of the talent manager, and everybody gets to benefit from the work is done, after the expiration of the relationship, maybe for about 3 years, the talent manager is still going to be attached to the artist, and he's still going to get his commissions, although the commissions will start to sunset. So maybe during the subsistence of the relationship, he was getting 20%. The first year, maybe after the 3 or 4 year term, the commission he's been getting starts to reduce. The first year, it becomes maybe 10%. The second year, it becomes 5%. And then the third year, maybe it becomes 2%. So you can structure it any way you please. Do we understand the idea? Yes. Because usually a lot goes into breaking an artist. And the people that are first in line to break any artist, when we look at the stories of all the icons that, that we can mention in the music industry, it is usually the talent manager who kind of like sets them up for whatever fortune they are able to amass during their journey as a recording artist. Do we understand that? How many of us think this is a fair concept? Yeah. So please, also we need lawyers to become talent managers in Nigeria, because by training, I think we will do better. Everybody's fighting to just be lawyers. In America, which is the biggest music market in the world, we have a lot of lawyers becoming talent managers. How many of you know Davido's lawyer? Yes, so we need more people like that to be instrumental in driving the careers of their clients. So beyond just being a lawyer, if you like this music business, you can get all the skills needed, get all the information. I believe it's very easy for us as lawyers, because all we know how to do is study precedents and try to apply what is working. So all you need to do is study the people that are doing this thing, take more courses, be part of the community, try to replicate, excellence in others. And before you know it, your law degree is going to be doing more than just being a lawyer. How many of us fancy the idea? Trust me, if you are getting just 3% of what Davido is earning, you'll be in a fantastic place. And again, we can enjoy jetting around the world. I relish that. Right? Yeah, so live performance, a performance contract. This is an agreement between parties involved in a live performance, the band. How many of us would like to manage a band? See, in this room, we're not just lawyers. If you want to work in entertainment, you have to keep an open mind. Anything is possible. In fact, you can own a record label. This law degree, for me, is a ladder to many things. I can be anything. With this law degree, I can be anything, any day. I am multi-hyphenated. You can call me this. If you follow me online, I'm a content creator. On days when I'm not a content creator, I'm a music lawyer. When I'm not a music lawyer, I like to drink wine and dance. I can't be boring because I'm dealing with young people. When I'm not doing that, I'm at the gym, I'm lifting weights. When I'm not doing that, just to connect, just to send energy. Sometimes I'm training like this. Sometimes I'm a marketer. So as a music lawyer, if you really want to do this, you have to keep an open mind. You can manage a band. Yeah, say it after me. I can manage a band. Keep an open mind, please. It is the flexibility of your mind that will take you to places you would never imagine. And you'll be able to use your law degree to advance other people. And anytime you're making other people's lives better, your life can remain the same, right? If I'm a channel of blessing to the biggest music producers, I can't be poor. Because, of course, I'm a lawyer. I have to protect my interests as well. As you are getting your millions, I'm not dragging with you. Just let me get some. And that's how I think, we should look at it. We should be lawyers who can function in many, many ways and add value. So, performance contracts may be initiated by either the performer or the individual. This contract ensures that the performer shows up for the performers as promised. How many of you have gone to a concert, they promised you this guy will be there, and he didn't come? That thing can pain. You and your friends, you were hyped up, or you went there with your wife and your son, and you thought, man, we're going to have a great time. And the person that made you swipe your card fails to show up. Or shows up six hours later. Like me, Burna Boy showed me Shege in December. I was standing up, my back was hurting all through the weekend for 6 hours. So, as a show promoter, as an artist, you can't do this thing without a performance contract. And you want to be sure, you want to know how much you're getting, you want to be sure that adequate security is going to be made when you touch down from your jet. There has to be a type of protection, bodyguards, soldiers, police, armored cars, convoy of cars. You want to tell them what kind of flight they should book for you, what kind of private jet. You want to tell them, presidential suites, the hotel accommodation has to be stellar. I want to book the first 2 floors. How many of you know that now some of our A-lists are doing that? They shut down 2 floors of a hotel. And you have to pay. You too, as a promoter, what would you do? Okay, you're not going to do any concert 90 minutes away from the venue. I'm bringing you to town. Don't use me bringing you to town to promote another event. Also, you must post that you're coming maybe 3 times. There's one of my clients, he wanted to bring one of these A-list artists to Delta State. The artist refused to post. I was coming to Delta State. And my worry people, they will not pay money if they are not sure. Because they've heard too many things. okay, something and worry, something and worry is not on his Instagram page. But you know, this agreement had been done before I step into the picture. I don't recommend it. If you're investing millions and millions of naira to do this thing without getting a lawyer at the inception. And I know these things, why? Because I've experienced it. So if you are just a lawyer who doesn't understand the normal practice, you wouldn't be able to advise your client properly. You would not even understand that cue of your artist. The artist should not do anything within 90 minutes drive of the venue. Because sometimes what you find is some promoters will spend all the money to come to the city. And then other small promoters will now exploit the presence of the artist in the city. Maybe to sell out at a club. I mean, if you understand what I'm saying. Yeah. So I, the promoter in Lagos, I brought maybe Sean Paul from Jamaica or New York. It cost maybe $200,000. And then I also had some club events to plan around that same time that is in the country. And then I have to safeguard my investments so that I will be the one to talk to all the club guys around and say, hey, Sean Paul is around so dates. If you want him to do something for you that weekend, let's do business. So that I can make up for the $300,000 that I paid him or the other thousands of dollars that I put up together to produce the show. I hope you understand it. So you have to understand how this business, how everything comes together so that you are able to look out for your clients. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You said something about the 90 minutes drive.
Yeah.
I didn't quite get that.
Yeah, so you want to be able to make sure that if Sean Paul lands without my permission, he can't do anything. Maybe like, I don't know, something kilometers or 90 minutes drive from the venue. So that means he probably cannot do anything in Lagos without me agreeing. If he wants to do anything for anybody, it has to come through.
Non-compete.
Yes, something of that nature. So also I could state in the contract that he has to be around maybe a day or 2 days or 3 days. I will need him to be on radio, I need him to be on TV, I need him to maybe do some events, maybe to promote, do some media rounds to promote the event. So I think we're almost at the end. A few slides to go. Are we having fun? Yes. We're having fun while learning so that we can earn. Or we're just learning for fun? We must learn to. It's important. Yeah. So licensing contracts, like I said earlier, the music business is a permission-based business where you have to give a lot of authorization. Okay? You are my manager. Okay, I authorize you to act. You have my power of attorney. Do this, do that on my behalf. There are certain contracts you can sign for me. Oh, you are my music lawyer. Okay, you have permission to do so. Oh, you're a distribution company. You have my permission. So licensing every step of the way, we can't escape it. Without licensing, no record business, no music publishing business, no live business, no merchandising business, no business at all. So let me see. Let's expand on this. Licensing contract, it's an agreement to use a song for a certain purpose and for a certain time. These are contracts that allow the licensee to exercise the rights of the owner over the said work. The agreement typically includes provisions specifying what rights are granted. So, for the exploitation of songs, the distributor needs permission to do it. How many of us are aware that even venues have to pay for all the records that are being performed by the owners of the songs? So that means if Wizkid is having a show at maybe Madison Square Garden, a certain portion of the ticket is reserved for paying, for providing that avenue for the music to be played in the public space. Do you understand? So now, this is your song.
In Nigeria.
Okay, so like this, my brother said, that is what it ought to be. Law as it is. I remember that. So this is actually, there is some level of compliance in Nigeria as well. Some of these venues actually pay. But, we still have a lot of problems standardizing how to properly regulate that. Hopefully, maybe within 10, 20, 30 years, we'll be able to, fix some of these challenges. But what I'm trying to say is, anytime you do a show and you bring somebody to come and perform their own song, some portion of the ticket has to be put aside to pay for the licensing to use that song in their own show. Do we understand it? Do we understand it? Yeah. So, public performance of music always generates money. Anytime music is played in radio, on radio, on TV, in public venues, somebody is paying for that, so that the owners of the rights in the music can get paid. Do we understand what I'm saying? Yeah. I want to give an example that just makes it very clear. Okay, so we need Burna Boy to come and shut down the O2. Somebody is doing the show. A promoter is doing the show at the O2. The venue is providing the platform. We're selling maybe 25,000 tickets or 20,000 tickets. A fraction of that money is usually set aside to pay the owners of the work that will be performed. Do you understand it? Yes. So out of whatever money is generated, maybe like 4% or 3% of that is going to be set aside to match all the songs that will be played in that public space. Do you understand it now? Yes. Just in the same fashion that radio houses, television houses have to get licenses to play the songs or the records. And anytime I say they are paying, they are paying for the song and the record. So anytime I'm saying they are paying for something, anytime I'm saying generating royalties, remember that a record has two parts. Do you understand? Yes. It has the song element and it has the record element. To have the record, somebody has to perform and somebody has to hit the record button. Bam. We understand it, right? So that's it. So licensing contracts are always in place. And now let me explain the concept. If we have millions of people using your record and you are a recording artist or a songwriter or a producer, can you chase everybody to pay you? No. Can you license everybody? No. So what do you do? What do you do?
You work with associations, the music associations, the societies that basically organize these things.
Yeah, please, can you say it again?
I said you work with associations, the societies, and these societies that organize these things. So if you're working with them, then they would be the ones to coordinate the payments from different places and get that back to you because they have a broader view of what is going on.
Amazing, amazing. Please, a round of applause for the gentleman. It's been very active. Mr. Adejumade, are we giving him anything?
We'll give him some, please.
Okay, please, we need to. It's been very active.
Sincere are this society in remitting whatever is collected because you have various of them. This one, they're always breaking away from each other and whatever. And how can you advise your clients? How can you protect your clients?
Okay. I don't know whether the DG is watching. So, the bitter truth is that the Nigerian music industry has its own challenges, I always want to liken the prosperity we've enjoyed in the last couple of years to You know, I think the Nigerian music is like the biggest export in the last 20 years. Culturally, commercially, music is starting to translate to prosperity in a way that we can't even put a dollar figure on. Because I think in Africa already, we're like the Americans of Africa, which is Saharan Africa. When you travel outside of Nigeria and people say, oh, you're Nigerian, there's still that level of skepticism. You know, they look at you like, wow, you're Nigerian? Like every time they admire you, at the same time, we cut a lot of flack as well. Sometimes we are notorious for something other than music, but we can't deny that, yes. I think we can now hold our head with pride, even in the UK, across Europe, and say, I'm Nigerian. And the worst of us do not really represent everybody. There's something about our culture, our creativity that speaks well to, you know, who we are. So with the collecting society, we've not been able to build an organization that, you know, that is devoid of controversy for now, because there's a lot of money in that place. And, you know, we still have not been able to get it. When you compare the Nigerian music industry to its counterparts in Europe and North America, there's a clear difference. So I don't want to recommend, but I recommend certain things for my clients. I prefer transparency. I want orderliness. I want peace of mind. I want people to be able to know that, yes, if they join a particular society, they will get something. So please write it down. An assignment for everybody. What does a collecting society do for its members? And simple Google question, but just read up so you understand what a collecting society does and how you can become a member of that society. As we go into the future, some of us will be advising people on how to structure that. Also, as a songwriter, as a recording artist, as a producer, there will be many people who would have to take advantage of their own expertise to make the best decision for you. Do you understand? We're in the knowledge business. We're in the solutions providing business. If they wipe your brain and there's no more knowledge, what are you going to share for the benefit of your clients? Nothing. We agree on that? So, as a songwriter, as a producer, we've already said you need to join associations. That is an example. You can't be the one to be chasing a hotel or all these hotels or all these restaurants as a Nigerian producer and say, pay me. No, you have to lean on the expertise of the collecting society in your territory. In different countries, there are territories that are shouldering the responsibility of collecting royalties on behalf of their members. Are we clear on that point? Next slide, please. So types of licensing agreements, sync license. What does it mean to synchronize? In music, what does it mean to synchronize in the music business? You said? Okay, short answer, to merge music with pictures. Some of you are already doing it on Instagram. When you go out to an Owambe or a wedding and you want to do bang, 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 bang. So you just merge your videos and then you look for Asheke's record and that's sync. And to commercially do this, you're supposed to get a license. So a sync license authorizes you to be able to put the music in the commercial or in the film or in the series. Does anybody want to tell me the big example of sync that they've experienced? Maybe a film you were watching and then the music just came in and then you started crying. Every night in my dream, I remember I still cried, I was watching Celine Dion and I was crying. That's a very powerful example of sync licensing. Bollywood, right? Yeah. Those are great examples. Those are great examples. How many of you understand what it means, mechanical licensing?
That is just like the opposite. That is the video, mixing the video itself. Mechanical licensing, I think, is the right to use a video commercially, like on YouTube, basically.
I think it doesn't really hit. Okay, can somebody else give us a try? Okay.
I think it's converting music to DVDs and other medium.
Okay, so let me just give you an example here. This is a book. I'm not doing any ad for the person. Let me see. Is there any entertainment law book here? Okay, so just any book. Just any book. Just any book, yeah? How many times did they print this? How many times did they type it out? Did the person have to type it so many times? Every time they wanted to, if you want to sell 1,000 copies, how many times did you do the work to productize it? But what did you do? You mechanically, same thing with music. So this stems from the fact that you are duplicating, you are replicating. All you just needed was a file from the studio. And then you took that file, you took it to Alaba. And then you submitted the master tape, and then they mechanically duplicated 1 million copies. That's what mechanical license means. It's the permission to keep legitimately to duplicate. Do we understand that? So every time one copy is sold, one copy of that book, maybe there's an agreement to pay 10% royalties to the owner, to the person who came up with the manuscript. Do we understand that? So that's what mechanical license means. Even in a digital era, it is still applying. We say our mechanical royalties because all you needed to do was just upload to Spotify, and then 1 million people could stream, or millions of people could stream to generate millions of streams. Do you understand it? And by just having just one copy, it is being duplicated for our entertainment, right? So all you needed to do was also upload the film to Netflix. Just one copy is able to serve millions of people. So mechanical royalties is the duplicity involved. When we give permission, anytime a sale is made, some portion of the monies generated will go to the owners of the work. We understand it? So that's a type of licensing agreement. We have to give them permission. Okay, duplicate. We're good? And every license has its own type of royalties attached to it. So mechanical licenses will generate mechanical royalties. Sync licensing will generate sync royalties. So in some shape or form, the permission you give will determine what kind of royalties would accrue. We together? Yes. Yeah, so print license. I've already made the example with the book. So if I'm printing, maybe your lyrics, or I'm putting your lyrics on a website, and we're generating per click. Anybody that comes to the website, maybe we generate maybe 8 cents. Some portion of that money is supposed to go to the person giving us permission. So anytime, how many of you remember all those lyric books of those days? So that is it. Although those books, most of them, they didn't get a license. They were just printing people's lyrics, and some of us were copying lambas and sending it to young girls who were young too, so equation balance. Theatrical license. So, how many of us have been to a theater to see like a drama play or something of that nature? Yeah, you know, music is also a very core aspect, you know, core element of that. So when you are lending your music to those types of use, you give them a theatrical license. And I've explained public performance license, right? That's when I was using the example of Burna Boy and Wizkid, where for doing their own music live, they still have to get paid because O2 Arena is giving them the platform. Next slide, please.
Major license.
Oh, major license. In this sense, I just think it's some exclusivity, something of that nature, which is okay. We give you the permission to deal with this. Usually, that's what you would give your record label or a music publishing company. I'm giving you like the full, you know, maybe I signed something to give you permission, deal with my catalog however you please. And you're able to use it. Yeah, you have a question? Yeah. Next slide, please. I think we are running out of time. We still have time for questions.
Just a little question. For sync license and technical licensing, when royalties are paid, are these separate in the sense that the owner of the sound recording gets various composers get theirs?
Please, can you ask me when it's question time? That's a fantastic question. I don't want you to forget it. That's a very, very brilliant question because it's going to expand your mind. Hopefully my answer is going to be able to match the question and you'll be able to act on it. So next slide, please. Please, you should still be with the mic. You should be with the mic. Okay, in conclusion, music contracts form the backbone of the music industry, facilitating different aspects of the business from recording, publishing, every aspect. These contracts not only establish the legal framework for transactions, but also ensure fairness, protection, and accountability for everyone. You know, these records that you create, it has a life of its own, you know. Even when the creator is gone, the music catalog still generates millions, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Even, you know, as a songwriter, the composition you create, even when you are gone, 70 years after, your songs, your works are still alive. And the 70 years start counting when the last collaborator. So imagine if you are 70 years old and you create a composition with a 25-year-old. And the 25-year-old does not die till he's 100. So when he's 100, he now dies. The 70 years extinguish. Is it extinguishing? For the before it goes to the public domain, before the expiration of your interest in the composition, that's going to be after he dies at 100 plus 70 years. So that means if you are fortunate as a songwriter, as a producer, and you create a classic record, and you know, it becomes a cultural product. You know, there are some songs that they have become cultural products. Do we have examples? African Queen, fantastic. What's the biggest Christmas song of all time? You know, this November, if I'm Mariah Carey, I'll just be somewhere, I won't work. I'll just be like, except you people want to cancel Christmas. As long as there's Christmas, she's always going to be a millionaire in multiple tens of, even when she's gone, she's still alive. But if she lives up to 100, and she's a fantastic songwriter, I think she and her producer co-wrote the song, and they own it.
But what about our Mama Odun also?
Yeah, so, you know, those are also cultural products, but, you know, sometimes the exploitation of these products, they are not done properly. I've had meetings with some people from the 70s, from the 60s, 80s. They don't even know what's going on with their work. And that's why we need more lawyers to step into the place to sanitize it, to educate people so that they know the value of their work. So, by defining rights, responsibilities, and compensation terms, this agreement play a vital role in shaping the dynamic world of music and its multifaceted business ventures. There are many things that can be an offshoot of just one record, connecting with the world. So I hope that, I've been able to spark some thoughts in your mind, and this would propel you to, do more research. Please, if you want to do this business, try to be a part of the community. Try to get the book I recommended. What else? Also connect with the people that are doing awesome work. The cheat code that can help you leapfrog. Be a member of the community fast. Build relationships fast. If possible, try and manage a talent. When you manage a talent, you would learn everything about everything. You don't have to be the perfect guy, but you would understand what it means to go to the radio, go to the TV, try to get a song to work, try to put an artist to perform, and in less than 2 years, you'll be able to apply all the knowledge you've gathered in the business with your law degree, and nothing can stop you. Hopefully, in about 3-5 years' time, some people would remember today and be like, thanks, I really appreciate you. You're a good man. Akinyemi, you're a good man. You're a very good man. So it shouldn't be the other way around. You're a bad boy. So on that note, please, I want to entertain questions. I hope that, the questions are not too difficult. I don't want to, my A-star rating should not go down, please. No difficult questions. I'm joking here. All right, please pass the mic.
All right, so the first question?
Yeah. How many more minutes do we have?
Just enough for question and answer.
All right, sir.
So my question was, when royalties are paid after sync licensing and mechanical licensing, are separate royalties paid to this owner of the sound recording and various composers, or it's one royalty and they all share in a way?
How many people created Countdown?
3.
Let's say 3 people, right? London, the producer, Andre Vibes, the producer, and Rema, right? So we have 3 people. These 3 people have interest in the composition because one contributed lyrics, 2 people contributed rhythm and melody, the other contributed lyrics. And usually it is 100%. Now, these 3 songwriters are usually already in a relationship with music publishers. I remember I told you that in the monetization of a song, a composition has 2 sides, the songwriter side and the publisher side. Now, with Countdown, we have 3 people we've identified as co-creators of this composition, right? Now, everybody has to line up. In that, so with them, when we are preparing a split sheet, it's going to be 100%. Maybe Rema will take 40. And the Vibes will take 30. This is London will take 30. Their music publishers will queue behind them. So now Rema will say, I have 40% interest in Calm Down. Everybody's going to queue. You say, I have 40, I have 30, I have 30. Now, if somebody wants to license a song for a movie, what do? They'll come and meet you that, oh, we want to license this. Usually, Rema, because he's signed to a record label, would go into a contract. In that contract, he would have said, I would retain the right to be the one to license this composition whenever the need arises. Do we understand that? So remember, it's 3 people connected to a song, and everybody has rights to that song, and everybody has their own publishers at their back. So if they are licensing to maybe Nike, Nike will say, okay, we want to license this song for $6,000 or $60,000. So they will ask Rema. Rema has already given permission, but Rema will tell them that, okay, from that $60,000, I own 40% of that, and Divide owns 30%, and London owns 30%. Do we understand that? So, depending on what the songwriter has signed with his own publisher that are queued behind him, they would share that. So, the licensing fees is $60,000, but it will be shared equally. Now, in some cases, everybody has an equal right to accept that deal or not. Do you understand it? It depends on what you sign. But the sync fees would usually be split according to the way the interest in the composition is being split. 40, 30, 30. Now, the publisher will now take his own share. Because he's the one administering the catalog, he will now be the one to take, oh, we own 40% of this song, we are going to YouTube, collect 40% of the music royalties generated in the publishing. London's publisher too will go to Tidal, collect 30%. This other one, everybody will go and answer their father's name. You understand it? So when it comes to mechanical, in as far as you have your own share, that's all you need, and it's been bound by the contract you signed. Take what has been given to you, you and your publisher figure out how to go and get your money. But usually when you are syncing, you will be the one to come, you will sign something with whoever wants to license, and you get your own share that has been allocated to you. You understand that? Any other questions?
The mic is going to go around. They will go online as well.
Thank you. When we were discussing recording contracts, reference was made to advances. So someone just mentioned here that it's usually non-refundable. So I wanted to confirm the correctness of that.
Sorry, can you say that again?
So when we were discussing advances, someone mentioned that, just by the way, that it's usually not refundable. So I wanted to confirm the.
Yeah, usually you can't refund it, because how can I give you money and you throw it back to me? The reason why I'm giving you is because I want to keep you committed to the contract. So it's usually not refundable. Well, immediately you agree to the contract, you collect the money, then I have the assurance that yes, we're in business.
Good afternoon, everybody. So my question is on the back of the first answer you gave, the first question. When we're discussing the talent management contract, you mentioned the post-term commission clause. So I want to find out what aspect of the artist's earnings does the talent manager get his commission from?
Yeah, so everything.
Is it on the works or on the artist's earnings?
So, you can negotiate anything, every and anything in the music business. Depends on what you agree to, but usually it is the manager, because he was instrumental to setting up everything. They attach themselves to everything. So that means everywhere the money, all the channels, all the streams of income, they want to get their share of it. Do you understand? Because when the contract was running, they were getting their share from the endorsements, from the streaming, from the publishing. They were getting their share from everything. So yes, they still want to be able to get something from even when they are no longer in the picture, they still want to get something.
Okay, good afternoon. My question is centered around determining when one of the co-creators of musical work, washes his hands completely off the work. The question is hinged on, I think I read somewhere that Burna Boy paid about 60% of the royalties of Last Last to Tony Braxton, and it's just, if you listen to the song, it's just something more like 2-3 seconds input from Tony Braxton song. So I want to know, did Tony Braxton take 60%, or is he going to go back to one of the persons who co-created that sound? So at what point does the creator wash his hands off and the artist takes everything?
So Burna Boy is not the best music business expert around. So I'm not saying what he's saying is false, but I know that if you are sampling, if you sample a record, everybody. So because anytime we co-create, even if all I said was add 10 words or even just a melody, and I'm listed as a composer, anytime that work is being used, I must also get some kind of benefit. So, for example, now, there is a song by Buju, I can't remember. There's one song that he sampled Wyclef and Akon and Lil Wayne. Everybody should live for the money, die for the money. Yeah, something like that. So, everybody. So I'm not sure Tony Braxton is the only person that came up with that composition. I think more people on the original record would also get some share in terms of the split. Is that? Sweetie, right? Yeah. So a lot of people would usually, if somebody samples, just for example, 5 of them created the record. If somebody just samples, maybe just the baseline, they're going to credit everybody. Usually that's a common practice. Have I answered that?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Morning, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that very interactive session. I guess my question is, let's say in a scenario whereby a film studio meets an artist who is under a record label to create a track list or a soundtrack for their movie. So now, let's say the song is not already existing. It is just made for the movie. How have you ever come across a scenario like that? And let's say if you are met as a lawyer to create a contract, how is the profit sharing, like the licensing agreements? Can the artist perform the song? Questions like that.
Yeah, so usually if the artist is already signed to a label, remember we mentioned something about exclusivity. So that means the performance of that recording artist is exclusive to the record label. So usually maybe the film company has to go get permission from the record label. And now there has to be an agreement on how the record will be exploited. Also, there will be questions as to ownership. And usually, if I'm a recording artist and I create something original, I always want to reserve the right to perform it. But again, there could be the question that, okay, is this record going to be monetized? Is it going to be available for streaming? If it is, how do we come to an agreement on how to split whatever is generated in the income? Usually, if the artist is also a songwriter, is the person going to keep the publishing interest 100%? So those are things that are up for negotiation, and people have to provide answers to some of these questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akinyemi.
You're welcome.
I'm just thinking, what's the gestation period for that a recording label can consider for signing an artist that this business we are into will mature? And what do you advise the artist to that is putting pen on paper? Because it is business. You are supposed to take in money beside 2 years. Some may blow after 2 years or 10 years, and then you start enjoying the performance right and other rights, and you are not on the recording label. What do you advise? That is for both parties. Then number 2, what's the equitable remedies for artists that fall into traps? Like I deliberately sang that song Odulon so because I'm private to what that Mama went through in the 80s. The same thing between Abioro and Sonny Ade. those days, and so many people. Is there any equitable remedies that, okay, this person has fallen into a wrong hand? How do we get him out? Or you can't get them out at all as a lawyer? Thank you.
Great question. For me, the way I see this thing is, just know what you're getting into. Because if you understand what you're getting into as a recording artist, it is easier to, be proactive and to adjust, or your decision making is going to be a lot easier. Now, if I'm representing a record label, usually I speak, when I speak to the record label, I'll be like, this business is very speculative. Please, are you sure this talent is worth gambling on? Because I see it as a gamble. I've seen people spend 100 million and there's no spark. There's no life. There's no moment. And I've seen people spend maybe 2 million and look at how Portable has become a national staple. Or is it a Southwest staple? Some people, you don't even spend a lot on them and they become part of our everyday life through their music. So I tell record labels, okay, try your best to get a talent deserving of investment. When you get that talent, make sure you have the competence, the expertise needed to be able to monetize the talent. And then get the best of heads around this talent, support production-wise, creative-wise, business-wise, publicity-wise. And also try to get at least 3 projects. 3 projects could mean 2 albums and 1 EP, or 2 EPs and 1 album. Don't just sign an artist and not try to create intellectual property assets that you can have for keeps, or you can co-own. Because what you find is a lot of people don't even understand how valuable the music can be. If an artist leaves your label but is able to drop like 3 albums or 4 albums, and they go on to become maybe Drake or Wizkid or Burna Boy, forever, if they continue to have success, their first 3 albums would also, they would still get a lot of monetization from that. So make sure that you're not freestyling. But what you find is a lot of record labels, if they try, they release 1, they release 2, they release 3, and there is no moment or there is no big bang, then they start reducing their investment. And then they stop focusing on developing the artist and being consistent at producing records that will form part of the catalog. I believe at the end of your relationship with an artist, you should be able to beat your chest and say, okay, during the romance, while we were together, we were able to do 4 projects together. And I'm happy that, we're starting to get some traction. It's not compulsory that an artist becomes a legend in your care or becomes so iconic. It could be when they leave, they could get a bigger opportunity. And when they become more successful, it's going to affect all the past work as well. Then the second question, equitable remedies. I believe it depends on what the factor and how you can structure your claims. Things can be used to support your claims. What kind of evidence would help convince the courts to determine your claims in your favor? Even the jurisprudence in Nigerian music law is still very, very, we can't really count many precedents like that. Because people, maybe the Sonny case is the only Supreme Court determination that I can remember. And that took almost 30 years to arrive at. So, well, with lawyers in the building, we need more litigation. Abby? So that we can test some of these theories and principles and, try to get more judicial pronouncements that could maybe intervene. A lot of the old generation, their intellectual property assets are not really well put together. A lot, you would hear that, oh, this man wrote this popular chorus, and then you see many people keep creating that same chorus, but maybe the Baba has no lawyer or no even proof to show that he created the work, and other people are profiting from what he wrote maybe in the 1960s or in the 1970s. Any other questions?
Yes, good morning. My question is from publishing rights. You had stated earlier in your lecture that the songwriter will take 50% of the publishing rights. Am I right?
When it comes to monetization of the composition, songs are usually split in halves. 50%, 50%. And that 50% can also be 100. Because I gave you the example of when you collaborate with more people and everybody has to queue behind you. But let me hear your question.
Okay, so what if that is a work for hire? For example, this person is in a record label and we need this record label to make tracks for a movie, right? So does that still stand?
No, it doesn't. Usually work for hires are commission works, and then you'll get a one-time fee and you pass on the ownership or in whatever interest you might have had in what you created to whoever commissioned you.
Okay, so in essence, the production company can say we will take 100%, we just pay you off.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So we are going to continue with the questions and answer sessions with the people in the room, but I'm just hoping we can get some answers. Answer the questions of people online as well. So there's
how many?
We have a few questions. We'll not be able to take all of them, but we'll just try to take as many as we can because time is up already. So yes, this one is from Kofre Inquiry. I hope you're listening, Kofre. It says, is there any difference between music catalog and a publishing portfolio?
It's the same thing. Music catalog is my portfolio. What's a catalog? What's a portfolio? Body of music, body of work. Things that I own or things that I control. A collection. So it's the same thing.
ETC, who play these songs when people upload videos or pictures? How do they go about the synchronization license? Do the artists personally sign agreements with these platforms?
So usually the collecting societies that you belong to or the publishing companies that you sign with, they are the ones that are, that are shouldering that responsibility to collect all your royalties for all your musical works that are licensed everywhere. So anytime your music is being used on all these platforms, somebody somewhere is collecting the money on your behalf, depending on if you're properly structured as a songwriter.
All right, then another question is, first of all, this accommodation is actually from Akinyemi. She says, thank you so much, sir, excellent presentation. And another question is, are producers entitled...
My head is big in.
Are producers entitled to mechanical royalties or just their publishing split? This is from William Umo.
Publishing split is what? I don't want us to confuse the terms, yeah? Publishing split is, okay, this is the composition, this is your share. So if just two people do the same work and we're co-authors, we're co-collaborators, it's 50-50 in the absence of a written contract. You understand that? Yeah. Now, when you say is mechanical right different from publishing split, I've already mentioned that anytime you reproduce music and you're duplicating it, that is what we call mechanical royalties, mechanical license. So, same thing would apply whether it is on the composition side or the sound recording side. It can be very complex, I understand, but if we get certain elements very clearly, anytime, like I said before, no records can exist without any song. Do we agree? Usually, a song is in existence, and when we perform the song and we press record, that's how we create a sound recording. And I said the two of them are usually together. And anytime it is being consumed, the song part of it is generating money, mechanical royalties included. The sound recording part of it is also generating royalties, mechanical royalties included. Do you understand it? So don't confuse it. Whether it is song, whether it is record, they are always generating mechanical royalties. Is that understood?
Yes, thank you. So just a few more questions and we'll round off. This one is from Tayo Tokums, who also says, thank you for the excellent presentation. My question is on public performance, not so clear on how it operates. When an artist is performing in a public venue, who pays the percentage?
Usually, the venue is responsible and the promoters. So, like, if anytime a show is done in a hotel is supposed to pay, maybe together with the promoters, they would allocate like a fraction of the income generated, and that should go to maybe COSON or MCSN. That would be what would form part of the pool that would be shared by the members. Do you understand that?
All right, so we'll just take about 3 more questions.
Thank you once again for the excellent presentation.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. So I want to ask about Ed Sheeran's case. He released the song recently, and Marvin Gaye's family, they took him to court.
Yes.
That the building blocks of the song, the baseline, was from a song by Marvin Gaye, who died many years ago. So, as a lawyer representing Ed Sheeran, how can one be proactive enough to avoid a situation like that? Because it got to a point that Ed Sheeran had to take his guitar to court to even play his guitar in the witness box to show that he did not take anything from, that the building blocks are the same for all those songs. So with that situation, we can have a situation in Nigeria where somebody will sing an Afrobeat song and Fela's family will say, the building blocks are from Fela's song.
That's an amazing question. Thank you so much. Sir, do you follow music bumper to bumper like that? Because I like the question.
Well, I try my best.
That's cool.
I know that's from one day code.
Yes. So everybody. Yes, I love that. Everybody in this room, if you really want to work in the music industry, you have to know, you have to follow music blogs. You have to be, the information that comes, you have to be able to consume that. You have to be able to consume it. You have to be able to also offer an opinion as a lawyer at all times. Because this is a very fast-paced industry. Things happen every time, and you must be able to draw lessons from other people and internalize it and see how it can also help you make better decisions for the people you represent. So with respect to that, I learned something very, very early, which is anytime there's a big record, expect a lawsuit. Anytime you make a big song, expect a lawsuit. Somebody somewhere is going to come and say that you copied his bass line or the guitar sounds. And the argument everybody would take the arguments on, merits. You make your claim, I make my claim. They'll ask you, bring your musicologist, I'll bring mine, and then we'll argue. Then if you don't want to spend money, then we settle. And then we'll just give you, take this money. And people are seeing that as a very lucrative business now. So, how many of us play keyboards in this building? How many keys are on the keyboard? 12. How many chords can there ever be? Endless chords? Maybe like 4,000 chords. I think I saw a video where they said you can, AI help them generate like 4,000 chords. And the intent of the scientists working on that AI program is that they want nobody to be able to sue. Everybody's work. We've done all the chords possible. So why do you want to sue me for using a bass line or playing a particular chord? So essentially, it is lucrative business. When there's a big song in the US and the UK, people come for it. But what I would like to say is that Ed Sheeran eventually won that case, and the argument, I believe, is that this chord has been used many, many times, even before Marvin Gaye. That everybody, all the biggest songs that we can think of, all these classics, and they played that same thing, that same chord. It could flow into many, many songs. And the argument was that that means even Marvin Gaye probably copied somebody. So that this chord is now available to everybody. And again, you can't say that I'm not being original just because I used a chord that is already like available to everybody. So can you copyright a chord? That was not the argument. That can you say a bass line is unique to yourself alone and nobody else should use it? So I think, you know, as a lawyer, you would always assess where you are. If you're an upcoming artist, you might not be able to have the financial muscle to engage in a long battle. And, you know, if you have a good lawyer, they'll be able to assess the situation, and I believe you'll be able to make the best decision. But you can't really run away from sometimes being inspired by other people, which is why if you think the work is very similar, there's a similarity component to it. Where can the average man on the street think that you borrowed this thing or you were inspired by this thing? If the average man on the street, or if your guys can say, this thing sounds like, then there's a probability that you probably got inspired by somebody else. Why not just simply sample legitimately so that you don't run into trouble?
Thank you so much for the well put together presentation.
You're welcome.
My question borders on mechanical licensing. So, is it usually for a specific period or a specific volume? Mechanical licensing, is it usually for a period or for a specific volume? And if yes, how do you ensure that whoever is reproducing it does it within that particular period and for that specific volume?
Amazing question, man. I would never have thought somebody would ask me this kind of question. Thank you so much. A round of applause, please. Yeah, so the thing is, usually your relationship with the distribution companies or even a record company, as long as you own your work, there's an expiry date. If you own it, at whatever point in time, you can say, okay, take my work off this platform. That's okay. Or with music, because I represent a lot of music producers, there are some licenses you get that if you get this license, immediately you stream and it is up to 1 million, then you have to update your license. So maybe you got the license for $200. You're an upcoming artist, you don't really have a lot of money, but the producer said, okay, take my license, take my beat, I'll license it to you for $200. It is non-exclusive, but immediately I see that you've made that you've made 1 million streams on YouTube, or you've done 1 million streams on Spotify, then you have to update the license. So you have to maybe get, instead of the $200 license, you probably need to pay me $2,000. So there are some licenses that are structured in that manner, that it is time bound or quantity bound, to the point that, okay, I gave you this work to distribute. Immediately on the 24th month anniversary, which is 2 years, remove everything. My song is off your platforms. So that is time bound. Now, when it comes to volume, we're saying if you stream up to 1 million, then you have to pay more money for the license. Is that understood? Thank you so much.
All right, so the final 2 questions, and I'm going to ask that they ask them together, then you take it at once.
I think your last responses answer my question, so I don't know.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, last question.
Okay, good afternoon. You met, some of us were not here when you talked about the book that you said we should read. And then
Okay.
secondly, what's the difference between a publishing house, a music publishing company, and a record label?
Okay, that means you were not here. Yeah, so like I said earlier, this record business is dependent on two major things. Recorded music and written music. So before technology and everything you see now, before people just used to write songs on turning sofa and for performances. How many of us understand the concept of turning sofa? Do, re, mi, fa, la, la, di, do, and writing music. So we used to have people that their business was just to compose. They call them composers way back. And you know, all these Beethoven and all these guys, they write the music, and only a privileged few, the butter that time, the ones that they sent to proper school to learn music and culture, the cultured ones, they were the ones that could even read music. It wasn't available for, is it the hoi polloi or the masses? So that's the origin. It starts with written music. You write it, you print it, and then people used to buy those books so that people perform in arenas. Before the advent of recording tapes or recording cameras and all of that, people used to have to be present to move from city to city to probably sing from a book. So that's the history. So written music is getting more songwriters to write all these compositions, and then recorded music is an offshoot of the advancement in technology, which is people started performing. Instead of just enjoying it live, there was something called the radio that was invented for the first time in the UK. I read a book on that, and it was very interesting, how radio came and just changed everything. So now, instead of just having people move from town to town, going to circus and arenas and all of that, now there was something called the radio. We can get these performers in the studio and then beam their performance live into the homes of people. So you didn't have to come to a show. You could sit back at home, and then you could also now record the broadcast, and it can continue. Then people started monetizing it. So the music business, apart from the live aspect of it, is heavily dependent on written music and recorded music. Written music is for songwriters. Recorded music is for recording artists. And both are exploited by different players. The written music has the songwriters and the publishers, and the recorded music has the recording artist who is performing, and we are recording, and behind them is the record label. And the purpose for the two is to be able to build the assets, which is the intellectual property, which is the copyright, to be able to build titles, records, that the record label and the music publisher can exploit. So we're going to sign songwriters, we're going to develop them for the sole purpose of creating catalogs that we can administer, that we can own, that we can monetize. I think you asked another question, sir.
The book.
The book.
All you need to know about the music business.
Yeah, please. It's fondly recommended by everybody that knows about this thing. It helps you in the title is All You Need to Know About the Music Business, by a famed and accomplished lawyer, Donald Passman. How many of us have that book here? Okay, so we have just 2 people. Hopefully in a month's time, that 2 will jump to what? 20. Because it's not for everybody. Not everybody is going to be invested in this. Not everybody is going to pursue it. Are you in that number? No church people here. Thank you for listening. It's been a great time. I've enjoyed sharing what I know. Hopefully, you're able to take it to the next level. It's a very, very promising industry. Nigeria can never run out of talent in music, in film, in comedy, in sports. And as long as we have all these creative people, there would always be a job for us. All right? On that note, A round of applause to this organizer.
No, please. I don't deserve that round of applause.
It's not easy to organize.
Akinyemi, please.
Hey. I'm taking my flowers. So it's not easy to do this consistently for this long. And that's why I commend your efforts, because, whether we like it or not, not everybody has this mindset to stay at one thing and continue to be of value to other people. So that's why I asked them. So take your flowers. A round of applause for Mr. Adejumade. Thank you for listening to me. And I look forward to engaging with you as well. All the best. God bless.
So, anytime I listen to Akinyemi, is obviously very impactful, so packed. And I learn a lot from him, especially in the music business. And what I do is, because I know I don't know as much as he does. Okay, I think a lot of people want his number. Can you just give him a second to call it out? An email?
Akinyemi at HighTowerLawyers@gmail.com. HighTower Lawyers. My number, give them my number.
Okay, so he has permitted me to share his phone number, and I'll be doing that with you via email. His phone number and his email address to be shared with you. So like I was saying earlier, I always learn a lot from him. And whenever I have a client who is a musician or someone who is in that space, I always consult him all the time. But I don't consult him and say, give me all the information. I say, no, bros, let's do this thing together. I believe that, just like he said, it's better for my client, not just me wanting to hold on to all the songs. I think the outcome for my client is always the goal at the end of the day. So guys, every time we have a session, I'm always blown away, because I feel that one session is already worth all the money we've paid. Do you agree? No. Okay, well, I'll ask you that question at the end of today again, and I'll get your answer. So thank you so very much. Now we are going to be proceeding on a short tea break. We are way past the time, but we'll go on a short tea break, and when we come back, we'll continue with the second class. Our second class will be film and media contracts. Just to share a few, when I came earlier, because we were in a rush to start, I didn't really say much, but I had spoken to a couple of people who called to register, who sent WhatsApp messages, who sent DMs. I don't know a lot of faces, but I know names. So please, I'd like to meet you sometime during the 2 days that we're going to spend together. Just say hi so that I can put a face to the names I've been speaking to for the past weeks. And also, we have a bookstore, the Legal Niger bookstore. That's why we have a couple of our books displayed. We don't have a physical bookstore, but we have an online bookstore. So we have some of our books here, in case you can have a look at them as well. So thank you so much, guys. To our online participants, you guys are wonderful. I hope you had a great time during our first session as well. And we will be back in, let's say, 30 minutes for the second session. Thank you so very much. So it's 12, let's say by 12:45 we'll be back. So tea break is downstairs at Enugu Hall. Just a brief description. When you get to the reception, there's a corridor just beside the receptionist. So that's where you just walk into. There's a second door to your right. But someone will be there to show it to you. I just had to give you a brief description before you go. Thank you. So we'll see you in 45 minutes. Thank you. Our online guys as well, see you in 45 minutes. Thank you.